Well, Van is obviously a great coach.
Got to do it with supreme focus, right? With razor sharp focus. Breathe what he's breathing.
But he's a better person.
Biggest thing you gave me was time. You didn't really know me. We were from the same neighborhood and area, but I was with a group of guys that wanted to go to college, wanted to play ball, and you actually gave us that reality that, hey, this could actually happen because we saw somebody that was like us and that we wanted to become.
Only thing that matters is you come out here, play after play after play after play, and that's the play we do. That's what matters.
Recruiting is about relationships. It's built on trust. It's built on doing the right things, and it's built on your head coaches and your athletic director, their vision. And I think we have two great leaders, both of those positions. So it makes it easy for me to go out and do what I do.
Be aggressive. Let's win. Here we go.
Once again, we're excited to have another great guest here with Van Malone on Winners Win and Leaders Lead. Kortne Gosha is a well-respected leader in college athletics. And I'm excited to get into his story, so I won't prolong it at all. Kortne, man, I thank you for coming on. We're excited, to get going. We've had guests on this podcast from conference commissioners to athletic directors to coaches, and it's been very insightful, very informative for people who have reached out to us. And so we're excited to have you to be able to share your insight, to share your story, and to share some of the things that you use in your daily walk as a leader. So as we get going, the first question that I have for you is how did you get started in athletics, and just take us through a brief walk with you on your path to becoming an athletic director at Florida A&M.
Absolutely, Van. Thank you so much. First and foremost, I appreciate you having me on. And obviously, I've admired a lot of the things that you're doing and have a tremendous respect for you and your work. But my path in intercollegiate athletics, untraditional. Obviously I was a senior in high school. My high school football coach, Curtis Coleman, came up to me and said, look, we know you're not playing college ball. Y'all 5'6", and we know what you're not going to do, right? And I was like, yeah, coach, come on, don't rub it in. And like, hey, but I've got this opportunity for you. I think you're the right guy. I think, this is a great opportunity for you. And he connected me with Jack Crow. Jack Crow was the head football coach at Jacksonville State at the time, and Coach Crow was looking for a head equipment manager. I didn't know what that was, but I went and visited, went to a football game, and he was like, hey, I need somebody that can help run this stuff. And, Coach Coleman thinks the world of you, here's some keys and I'll give you a scholarship. And so we literally, we kind of grabbed the bull by the horns. I called around the country and said, all right, what does the equipment got to do? All right. And so kind of taught myself and learned from others. And, at a small school, you do a good job. You get blessed with more responsibility, no money, but more responsibility.
Right.
And, you just get after it. And so I quickly fell in love with intercollegiate athletics, being an equipment manager. And so by the time I was a senior in college, I was running our football program. I was booking hotels and travel and ordering apparel, and I didn't realize it was a career until Tennessee State actually called me, and they were like, hey, we want to offer you a job. And so I went on the interview, and my AD at the time, Oval James, was like, look, you're not going anywhere. We're going to hire you here. And oh, by the way, we want to put you in charge of building this $47 million stadium. And I'm 21 years old. I built a thing in my life. But again, I had a tremendous pride and love and affinity for my institution and the work that we had put in, as an equipment guy. And we wanted to see that continue to grow. And we did. And, obviously, we had some storied success under Jack Crow in my time there. I left, got out of the business for a cup of coffee, And then I came back at Middle Tennessee State University as equipment manager, and spent 6.5 years there, but in 3 different roles. Worked my way from equipment to our chief operating officer and associate athletic director. And, fast forward now, had another cup of coffee at Miami, and ended up at Florida A&M. They gave me an opportunity to lead, and I couldn't imagine being anywhere else other than an HBCU right now.
Right.
But in particular, the pedigree and traditions at Florida A&M, it was a gold mine of an opportunity. And so a lot of people said, you left a Power 5 institution, and not just anyone, you left Miami to go to Florida A&M. And I think over the past year, we've allowed some of the accomplishments here kind of speak as to why we left and
Right.
how special this institution really is.
Yeah, I've kind of followed your career, and I had that question myself. A guy, you would leave Miami and go to an HBCU, but as I've researched more and more, I understand why, because definitely you have a great program and been able to come in and make your mark. And so, speaking of making a mark, the last year for sure, 2020, and COVID and social justice initiatives, what is that time period actually still going and leading into this time period? What has the last year or so done for you as a leader?
Well, I'll say this. I think the last year has required anyone in a leadership position to learn more, to be malleable, to be flexible. A lot of times we sit in the chair and we're the decision maker, right? And it's this way, and I really don't care what it looks like. And I think what we've seen is we have to open up our views a little bit to understand the dynamics that may challenge someone who doesn't look like me, who didn't grow up the way that I did. And and I think here at Florida A&M, that environment is natural. It's naturally an environment where people can be different, and it's okay. Or people can not have, and we know what it's like to triumph through adversity to get. And, and I think this year has been a gleaming example, in our country. Leadership matters. It matters to the young people that we serve. And one of the things that, I've been privileged to do is I've served under some really good leaders. Right. And I've had an opportunities to take from them and really formulate my own leadership style. And one of the things, is to kind of have a common touch. Yes, I'm the athletic director, but you know what? I've been able to connect with our kids in a challenging time. You had COVID, which was a challenge. You have social justice and all those type of things. But to find the common ground with these young people that we serve, it's simple as putting on a pair of Jordans. I wore a pair of Jordans, one day with my suit, and one of our kids who barely speaks, he came out of a shell. He was like, "Whoa, I got those," and what are you doing with them? And that is how we've been able to really transform our leadership approach. My entire executive team, I tell them there's no barriers. All right, let's break down the any artificial barriers that may be here, and let's understand our kids. Let's understand the environments that we're creating. And so that's really been one of the secrets of success here at Florida A&M. Is again to challenge the norms. Find common ground with the young people that we serve, that we're recruiting, and to be genuine in that.
Yeah, I think that's an important point because, as I've operated here at Kansas State in my role, one of the things we've talked about is as more seasoned people, right, as older people, Twitter is not the greatest thing ever invented to me, maybe. But it's where our kids live, it's where our recruits live, it's where our players live. And so I think just like you with the Jordans, it shows them honor, it shows them respect when you're not too good to go to the place that they call home, when you're not too good to like you said, find common ground with them. And I think it's important for young people, especially at these moments, because we've seen how they have grown and understood the platform that they have. And so it's our responsibility to lead them down the right path, to be able to use that platform the right way. So I don't know what this answer would be as an equipment manager, but for me as a coach, game day is when I see a young man who I've been training and I've been trying to get him to get it right on and off the field, and I see that light bulb go off. That's what game day is for me as a coach. What is that for you every day in your walk as an athletic director? What is your game day? What gets you fired up? What is that thing for you?
I'll tell you, what I believe to be just universally electric. And we get to see it in the professions that we do. We recruit these young men and women to come to our campuses. We go in their homes, we sell them, and we tell them that all of their dreams can come true at our institution. And we firmly believe that. But to actually see it happen. So what's a game day for me? When you hit the campus and you see that sign that says Florida A&M University, we have a slogan. It's excellence with caring. And so everything we do, every worker that we have, it's truly a family atmosphere. And to see that, to know the guy that cuts the grass in front of the building, and to know that he is a 30-year season ticket holder, and he's taking pride in that. And the student athletes having the ability to compete at the highest levels with first-class facilities that are clean, that they can be proud of, that they could say it's theirs. And so to me, to have an operation or an athletic program that's vibrant, that you see those type things, because, there's no secret, HBCUs, and this one in particular, we've been through a lot of turbulence. There's a lot of ups and downs, not just on the social piece of it, but the economics of it. We see it, we know that it exists. But if you can provide a first-class experience that, regardless of the economic value that you bring to the table, that is still second to none. And that is what a game day looks like for me. So when we put on the suit and we come into the office, it's about creating that electricity, that atmosphere that our kids don't know the difference from being at University of Alabama, because their experience was just as good. And, rings and degrees. There's no greater honor for an athletic director than to see a young man or woman walk across the stage with a degree in one hand and a championship ring on the other.
Right. I think that's big time. Make your place that championship world. So let's turn the page and let's talk about getting people on the bus, right? And so I know you've had an opportunity to look at that. When you choose staff members or coaches, what are some important things that you look for before you make the decision to bring a person onto your team?
So I would say, again, I don't necessarily look at a resume, and that sounds crazy, right? When I'm hiring a position or coach or staff member, obviously, you're going to get their resume. I'm going to review it, and I'm going to find some positives, or a certain depth of experience. But I think, and we do it in recruiting, hey, this kid, he might be 6'1", 215, but he's got a twitch. He's got the it factor. He's the right fit. And I think from the same thing from our staffing perspective, I look for the right fit at Florida A&M. Not necessarily the person with the best resume, because the environments are different and challenges are different. I think that my job as an athletic director at Florida A&M was defined as during my time as an equipment manager at Jacksonville State University. And I say that because I had to learn how to do more with less at a lower resource institution. And so honestly, my job and my career experiences became easier at bigger institutions because there were more resources to manage But again, I've done more with less. And so obviously my transition, back to a lower resource institution wasn't a shock for me. We were prepared for that at that point. And so, I think that's one of the things that you just gotta have to keep in the forefront. You look for people who are the right fit. Characteristics you look for is integrity. Sometimes in our society today, that's hard.
Right.
Honesty, loyal people, and it's not loyalty to Kortne Gosha, it's loyalty to the institution, to that excellence with caring. That's, we got to put on our helmet every day and go to work at that. And if we continue to do that, then things will help themselves. And then I look for people who have strengths in areas that I'm weak. So as an athletics director, I needed to make sure that we had a great development team and a fundraiser we can cast the vision, but we've got to have some execution behind that and methodology. And we've been able to raise over $1 million in my first year. I needed someone, once we were able to garner resources, to help us manage them and make sure that the fiscal responsibility was there. And so we went out and hired a great senior women's administrator and CFO for athletics. And I think when you find people that complement your weaknesses as a leader, that's when you have a diverse group that's ready to put on a helmet every day and go to work with you. And so that's what we've done. I'm the youngest Division I athletics director. A lot of my team members are older than me because, as the AD, sometimes, you get emotional, things aren't happening the way you want it to, or we lost that game, we should have won. But you've got to have a team around you who can keep you grounded, and you make sure that your disposition is great. And then I've got an energizer on our staff. So we've got somebody that's younger than me who, when we're not moving quick enough, or we're not innovative enough, or quite frankly, we can't see things in a different light, he can bring those things back to us. And so, so I think those are characteristics that I look for. But again, I think that creates a great recipe for progress and forward progress.
Yeah, big time to unwrap. You spoke about diversity. You spoke about seeing things from different lenses, because even you admit that, you don't have all the answers. So there's some people on your staff who, like you said, are more seasoned than you. And then there's some who are younger and have quite a different perspective than you do. And I think there's strength in that diversity. I got one final question, and then I'll let you go. If you could go back and talk to young Kortne Gosha, right, and all his excitement and all his enthusiasm, what would you say to him today about walking this walk that you've had to trek through?
That's a really good question. And I would say two things. And I think we all, as professionals, no matter what age, leadership's not defined by age, it's not defined by color, and it's not defined by sex. At one point in the industry, I thought it was, but it's not. And when you understand that, in a leadership role, if you're a head coach or you're an athletic director, one of the things that you have to learn is to have a moment to take care of yourself. If you don't do those things, you're never going to be in position long-term to ensure that everything else is taken care of. And so take the time, continue to learn and grow. There's a great book called The Pause Principle. And it teaches you in your leadership, continue to be a leader, continue to move forward, but understand there are opportunities and times where you have to pause. And that pause can be used for a lot of reasons. One, to reassess things, to look at things from a different view, to self-reflect, and again, just to assess things at a deeper depth. And so for me, it's kind of a combination of those things. If I could tell myself 10 years ago would be, hey, invest in yourself, take time, pause. Sean Frazier, athletic director at Northern Illinois, good friend of mine, he tells a lot of young administrators, you'll have happy feet, you're ready to go. You're ready to go to the next thing. You're ready to push the next envelope. And I've learned that in leadership, sometimes it's not about being first. It's not about doing it the quickest. Sometimes it's about making sure that it's done right.
Right.
And so I would say that would be kind of a note to myself, and go from there.
Man, great wisdom. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your wisdom and your leadership. We have a great, actually a couple now that you mentioned, Sean, but a great mutual friend in Sam Ogden.
Yeah.
Sam's, man, let me tell you, you talk about good person, that's Sam Ogden.
So funny story, Sam Ogden, I recruited Sam. I was a student myself.
Yeah.
So we were at Jacksonville State, and I recruited Sam from the Auburn area. I'm trying to think of the town actually he's from, to be our video coordinator. And, again, you talk about creating, leaders and don't even realize it, but we gave Sam an opportunity at Jacksonville State. He took our program to places we couldn't have even imagined as a student. He graduated. The next thing you know, he's the head video coordinator at South Alabama, bounced around, and, he was at SMU for a little while, and Arkansas, and now he's doing big time things at Clemson. And, but again, just so proud that I was positioned at that time to continue to reach out. And, you talked about the resume. He didn't have a resume. He didn't have one, but he was the right fit, and the right fit, the right time, the right place.
Right. And then I'm for sure I'm gonna let you go, but I'm even thinking about Sam and my time with Sam and him being a leader, right? I watched Sam with his video staff, and I talked to Sam about some of his staff and the importance that he placed on developing them. The importance that he placed on making sure that they were learning, making sure that they were growing. And what we're talking about here, we're talking about coaches, we're talking about athletic directors, but their leadership, it happens, in places outside sports, but definitely in all areas of sports. Again, Kortne, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. And man, definitely excited to be connected to you, and would love to stay in contact. And man, would love to have you back on.
Absolutely, Van. Thank you so much. It's been an honor and a privilege, and certainly look forward to staying in touch.